All right, welcome back to today's stream. I just like to thank everybody who's tuned in before and seen what we were able to do. Some of our recent purchases have been saving a client serious money, 2,500 bucks on a Honda CRV with the sport package on it, 2,500 under retail. Saved them a lot more than that, and we'll talk a little bit about that in the stream here. We also saved another one of my clients about $90 a month on their lease payment on a 2025 GMC Sierra. So I mean, we're talking instead of 400 a month, they're paying 310 a month. Great price point on that. So we really kind of hard to argue with that with those kinds of savings. But today, what I want to talk a little about is about what dealerships are still trying to do as far as trying to fleece the clients. Hey, welcome back to the show. This is Brad Mustaine. Just wanted to welcome back to the stream. This is your boy Brad Mustaine. Just checking in to see Brad Mustaine. Welcome back to the stream. This is your boy Brad Mustang. I just wanted to say hello to everybody, and just wanted to give a quick shout out to all my clients who have been loyal and have helped me get my name out there as I try to get this thing rolling here. Recently we've found some everything from inexpensive cars for clients, and we found brand new vehicles that we've saved clients thousands of dollars by getting them well under MSRP on vehicles, as well as saving money on clients' lease payments on vehicles like a 2025 GMC Sierra. Saved them on that one. A 2025 CRV Sport package with the hybrid. Saved about 2,500 under sticker on that one. Found somebody a nice $3,500 Toyota, one that they can drive for a couple of years. Kind of hard to do with a $3,500 car, but those are the kinds of things we can do here live on stream. Is I can help find those vehicles. We can help call and set up appointments and get everything negotiated down so you get the best possible deal. So that being said, I just briefly want to talk a little bit about today about market adjustments that new car dealerships are actually trying. It's actually kind of a funny thing. Back in before COVID, I was still working at the dealerships, and it was unheard of in 2019 for a client to come in and pay sticker price for a vehicle. Very rarely would I get a client that would ever pay full MSRP for a car. I mean, very rarely. Usually, we'd sell it for under MSRP and be able to get the client a little bit better price. But when 2020 hit, there was a legitimate shortage on semiconductors, which made it very difficult to get inventory. I mean, dealerships had no cars, so obviously it's a demand issue. So dealerships, in order to make the profits they needed to sell cars at higher than sticker. Um, and now that 2025 is around, there really isn't that really doesn't exist anymore as far as new car shortages. Now dealerships have pretty much full inventories now. So the fact that they're still trying this is just goes to show you that it takes consumers a little bit of time to catch up to what the market is doing. And depending on what market you live in and where you are, some places are worse than others. Like where I'm at right now here in Wilmington, a lot of the dealerships, Wilmington, North Carolina, a lot of the dealerships are actually doing their very best to charge 10%, sometimes 20% on top of what the sticker price is on a car. So if it's say a $50,000 vehicle, they're trying to charge 60 for it. And I can show you why that's a problem here in just a second here. But let me just briefly start out by showing you a couple of things here that really are kind of tricky. And right now, we are. Let's see if we can get this. Pull up these screens here. And let's see. Okay, so right here, this is a application that I will show you. That's a great application. And what this is a car payment calculator system on here. What this does is it really shows us what we are able to do as far as being able to take a look and see what exactly your interest rates look like. Breaks down your rates. It also breaks down um, your payment schedule. It's going to break down what your payment should look like with all the fees and taxes and everything along those lines, as well as your trade-in. So this is just a good thing to have for when you are negotiating your car deal. You're going into the dealership, and this is just a good way to be able to verify what they're telling you. Now, anytime you're buying a new car, I always recommend to call your bank ahead of time and find out what the interest rates are, right? That's the key right there. That's to make sure that the dealership doesn't charge you more interest than you need to be paying on the vehicle, because I can show you how that can affect your payment. So make sure you're calling your bank. If you have Bank of America, call them up. You have a credit union, call them up. Credit unions generally on pre-owned cars are going to do a little bit better on interest rates, in my experience. Also going to do pretty good on new vehicles too for you if you have a good relationship with them. Definitely something I just recommend is make sure that you have um, a a good union to be able to do your business with in order to be able to get the best possible deal on a vehicle. So let me do a little bit of plugging in here and just seeing if we can get this thing to pop up here. Okay, so right now we can plug in so $50,000 for this car here, and then we are going to say, okay, it's got a 2 grand rebate on this new one. Let's say we put $5,000 down. Okay, dealer fees typically are 600 bucks. We'll just say $600. And taxes here, depending on what state you're in, it's going to vary. But here in North Carolina, it's 3%. Let's say that rates are going to be about 7%. So let's see, we can break it down according to months. And we are at 60 months. So let's see if we can't get this thing to pull up here now. All right. So you can see here with the let me get this thing up here. Okay, so with the current price of a $50,000 vehicle and a $2,000 cash rebate, you can see that you can see that like how we have this all broken down here. And you can see how we have this all broken down here. And sorry, I'm just trying to get the hang of how to do this and show this on screen. So how to do this and show this on screen. So bear bear with me here. So Right now, I on this $50,000 vehicle here, we can really get you some information here to kind of break this down. So you can see here on a $50,000 vehicle, say you get a $2,000 rebate on this one, and it's going to be um, one that you're going to be able to put another $5,000 down. And say they're going to charge you an additional $600 in dealer fees. You just plug that right in here. Sales tax is going to be about 3%. Interest rate's going to be about 7%. And with that, on a 60-month term, you're going to be at about 891 per month on that one. And then when you are able to figure this out here, you can view your payment schedule. Now it's going to go ahead and break everything down, and it shows you how much interest you're paying on each payment. Right here, it shows that as you're breaking down and as you're making your minimum payment every month, it shows you here by 24 months, which is 2 years in, you'd still owe $28,000 on that vehicle, and you would be still paying um, 719 a month. Would be going to the principal, and 172 would be going to the interest. So just kind of shows you right here how to get the best possible discount um, on your on your vehicle. Um, so yeah, you can see this right here. Great. This is a great little car. It's called Car Payment Calculator. You've seen one. You've seen a million of them. You're going to see that these are going to be an excellent way to be able to figure out like how much you interest of each payment is actually going towards the principal compared to how much is going to the paying the bank additional interest. So you can see that on a 60-month term, you're going to pay this vehicle down a little bit faster when you notice this. So you're going to go back. Nice part about this one too, it also tells you what your total interest is. So on a $50,000 vehicle on a 7% interest rate, you're looking at about 8,500 in interest if you're making minimum payments on this car over 5 years. So I mean that's considerable. I mean you're paying instead of 50,000, you're paying um, well over that, right? You're paying by the time you pay or make your down payment and get your rebates, you're paying about 87, $8,500 more on in interest to the bank just to be able to borrow the $45,000. So I mean that's a significant amount. Now the best way to do that, it's the best way to outrun your interest payment to reduce that is to be able to make bigger payments on your account. So instead of making your payment of 891.85, you're going to want to be paying considerably more. You're going to want to be paying 1,200, $1,300 on this, and that will help you avoid these finance charges on there. So months where you can pay extra because it's going to definitely reduce the amount of interest that you're paying um, over the course of the 5 year loan. I always recommend making sure that you can, if you do a 5 or 6 year loan on a vehicle, make sure it's one that you can pay off in 4 years. Um, you take a lower payment because there are certain months out of the year when you want to make that lower payment. Say uh, December is a good month to make a lower payment because you might have holiday expenses and things along those lines. Or say maybe in July or August you take a vacation and you're going to have more expensive expenses that month. That's why you take a lower payment. You don't take a lower payment to make a minimum payment every month. That's the worst possible way to buy a car. You want to make sure that you're making it affordable for yourself over the course of the loan term. So you can see here, excellent, excellent way to be able to figure these things out. So what I want to do is I just want to take a look at a couple of examples here of vehicles that are currently being sold in 2025 that have outrageous market adjustments on them. So let's see here. All right, our first. Let's pull up one of our first ones here. Okay, so bear with me. Some of these are really hard to read out. So just kind of do your very best to be able to kind of read what I'm seeing here. But I want to show you one of the biggest culprits right here on this right here. This is one of the absolute biggest culprits in this thing where they are just exactly whacking customers on vehicles. So, oh, it's okay, puppy. Don't worry about it. You're okay. The dog was having a little bad dream there. It's okay, pup. All right, so let's go ahead and highlight this. You can see here. Here's a 2020 for 2025 Kia GT K5 GT. So nice car, right? I mean, it's not going to be the creme de la creme. It's a Kia, right? I mean, it's not going to be your greatest car ever, but I mean, if you don't have the greatest credit, let's say your credit's in the 600s, you want a brand new car, um, you can get into a Kia with that. But with all the options and everything on this one here, you're looking at an MSRP of $38,000 right here, 38 grand. Okay. So that's kind of, like we're going to be where you would typically want to start your negotiations on when you're talking with a Kia dealership. But this Kia dealership right here has conveniently added an additional $9,000. Let me bring this up a little bit. You can see the dealership has conveniently added $9,000 to this. So now the vehicle that they really you should be negotiating at 38 $39,000, and now you should be now they're asking closer to the $49,000 for. So you sorry about that, folks. I'm just trying to get this back in here where so you're talking about a $48,000 vehicle compared to a $39,000 vehicle. That's almost a that's a $10,000 markup on this, guys. Obviously, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So you can see right there in this particular case how that could be a detriment to you. Say you're at a and the reason they do that is because they can if you have good enough credit, they can typically get the bank to loan them 120 or 125% of the value of the car. So, in the case of a $40,000 car, if they can get 125% from the bank, they're going to go ahead and charge you 125% if they can get away with it. But, there's no reason to do that when, all you need to do is call enough Kia dealerships to be able to get you the deal that you're looking for on this. So you can see that's definitely a major disadvantage. And if we pull up our car payment calculator here, um, you can see that. Let's pull that up here. Okay, now we're going to pull up our car payment calculator and just see how that all breaks down. So here we got the car payment calculator screen up here, and we're going to see how this actually affects you. So this is a lot of the reasons that when you're watching TikTok videos with these crazy car payments, a lot of it has to do with the fact that dealerships were charging more than sticker price on new cars and just outrageous amounts for their vehicles. So let's go ahead and go back here and just see what we can figure in here for this. So on a 39,000 let's say 39.5 was what they were asking for on that K5, right? So 2025 Kia K5. Okay, so we're just going to, for just to make it simple, we're just going to go ahead and say, let's say we're going to do a sign and drive on this one, which just means you're not going to pay any money down. You're just going to drive, buy the car and drive it. Depending on what rebates are offered, they may offer rebates, they may not. But in this case, we're just going to calculate it without the rebates. So let's say that we are doing this on a uh, with no money down, 7% interest rate. Let's see what happens when we calculate the loan right here. And we get $817.49 would be what they're going to get you on here. Now you can see that the total amount financed with everything is going to be about 41,000. Your total interest is going to be about 77, 70, about $7,800, $8,000, and your total payments and everything. But before it's all said and done, if you're making minimum payments, is going to look like uh, 49, about $50,000, about 49,000. So let's go ahead and just see. Let's just go put a point of reference in here as far as what it would be if you made minimum payments and say you want to trade this car in 36 months. Okay, so in 36 months after that, you'll still owe after minimum payments, you'll still owe 18 about roughly $18,000 on that. So let's remember that reference point here. Now let's see what happens when when we pay the extra $10,000. So let's go ahead and type in your 49.5 on that one. We pay the extra $10,000 and look what happens. Now we got a car payment over $1,000. But that's not all, right? I mean, when we take a look at everything else, now look what's jumped up is also your total interest has jumped up. You're borrowing more money. You're paying more in taxes. You're doing everything goes up. So now your total payments instead of 49 are really 61, right? So I mean, you're talking an additional 12,000, just to an additional 2 grand on top of the 10 grand additional that they were charging you. So it's not just the 10 grand extra for the car, it's also the 2 grand extra you're going to pay in interest on top of that, plus a little bit more in taxes. It winds up being about 2 grand or 12 grand more instead of 10 grand more. So those are things you got to keep in mind. So we were at 18,000 is what you would owe after 3 years. Let's see what we would owe here. After 3 years on this one, we would be owing $22,000, $23,000 on this one. So you can see it's about $5,000 more that you would owe on this car. Now, why does that matter? You're probably wondering. Well, it matters because if you want to trade out of this car and you still owe too much money on this car, you're going to be tipped on your trade-in. So your trade's going to be worth less than what you can actually get for it. So um, in these scenarios here, I typically just recommend um, doing your due diligence and making sure that you are not paying these additional fees on this one, especially on a Kia, because Kias are going to depreciate pretty fast too. One of those car companies that doesn't have the best reputation for holding their value. So that being said, I definitely would recommend making that a consideration moving forward, that when you in fact get into one of these vehicles, that you are doing it in a way where when you want to get out of it, you're not going to be having to cough up a bunch of additional dollars to be able to get in and out of this car. And that's exactly what you would be doing on a K5 if you spend an extra $10,000 on the on market value. So it's one of those things. It's one of those things. So let's take a little bit of a closer look here on what the consequences might be of doing this exact having this exact thing happen, and this exact problem. So we're going to go ahead and pull up this real quick, and let me get into. Okay, so we got a Kia K5. Okay, so right now, let's look at the market on the K5 here. So we're going to look at pull that up here next. Let's see here. Let me go ahead and get out of our payment calculator, and let's get into our uh, tab right here. And we're going to share our car payment calculator right here. Give us a little bit of a um, give us a little bit of what we are doing here on the. Okay, now we're back. Okay, so we're back up. Let's take a look here at the K5 right here, and you can see that right now there are no shortages of K5s in the market right now. There are currently 13,000 2025 K5 vehicles in existence for sale right now in the United States. So let's take a look and see what 2023, what pre-owned 2023 K5s, 2022 K5s are going for on the used car market. You might want to break this down here to a GT package too, since here we go. We got the GT line right here, which is probably the more commonplace of this one here. So let's take a gander here and just see what these listings are looking like right here. All right, so 2022 Kia K5s, with right now with 50,000 miles on it. Right here, here's one. They're asking 25,000 for that one. Here's one with $28,000 on it. They're asking 29.5 for this one. So 30 grand for one that's 3 years old, with 30,000 miles on it. Yep. So under 20, so the ones that are under 20,000 miles are going to have um, are going to be about 30, 31. The ones with a little bit more miles are going to be in the mid 20s. So you can see that, maybe it isn't going to be in your best interest to pay that kind of money for a new one of these, especially now that there are 19,000 2025 for 2025 Kia K5s for sale right now in the United States. Pretty easy to get this one at a discount is what I'm trying to say. We could probably get 10% or even maybe 8 to 10% off, maybe even a little bit more off one of these if we were to try to negotiate a deal on this one. And remember that we can go ahead and negotiate these deals live on stream, so you can see how I go about doing these things. You can watch my other streams on when I'm calling dealerships, and then just do what I'm doing and call different dealerships. And you don't need me to do this for you. You can do it yourself. It's just one of those things. If you put in the time and effort, you can get the best possible price. But for $500, I'll do it for you to save you the hassle. Have everything ready for you, and you don't have to mess with it. Then, if you have just no desire or no time, let me do it for you. But if you want to go ahead and take it on yourself, by all means, go right ahead and do that. You can get yourself a great a deal yourself just by doing what I'm doing and by being able to see the market yourself. So right now on a vehicle like this, it's they're selling it for 28.5, and then we can take a look here at the car payment calculator on a this $40,000 vehicle here, the $40,000 K5 that this Kia dealership is trying to sell for $50,000. So let's see what happens after we try to sell this car after see what happens when we try to sell this car after the um, after a couple of years, after 2 years. Let's see what happens when we. So yeah, so right now we're at $1,000 car payment. Let's view our payment schedule. Oops, let me show that. Sorry. Okay, so let's take a look here. Oh yeah, let me hit her. Sorry. Okay, now we've got it up here. Perfect. All right, so let's take a look here and see. So at 24 months or 36 months, we still would owe 22,814 on this one. Now, when we were looking at them before, I mean, they were selling for about 25 grand with over 34, like 50,000 miles on it, which is between 40 and 30 and 50,000 miles is what you'd be looking at. So right then and there, I mean, you're already set up at where you're going to be a little bit tipped on a trade, and that's even though you're paying $1,000 a month in car payment, right? I mean, that's a significant payment on a vehicle like that, right? So what happens is, I'll show you what happens most of the time, is that in today's market, people aren't financing cars over 5 years; they're financing them over 6 or even 7 years. So they say this is what they'll say to you when you go into the dealership. They'll say, it's about what you pay per month. It's important. It's not what you pay for the car. Well, that's actually completely false. Just to show you here, you're still going to be tipped a little bit on your trade on 60 months. Watch what happens when I plug this into 72 months. So it's going to get me a lower car payment. But look what happens to the interest all of a sudden. Now all of a sudden I'm paying $63,000 for the car, paying $11,000 in interest by spacing it out over a year. Yeah, I got a lower payment. Look what happens though when now all of a sudden when I want to view my payment schedule, I want to get out of it in 36 months, been making minimum payments. All of a sudden now I owe 28,000 after 36 on this one, 28.5 on this one. So when you're talking along the lines of 28.5 on a vehicle that has a or a retail value in the mid 20s, or you're going to be tipped like crazy on this car when it comes time to sell the car later on. So I mean, uh, don't get I mean, don't allow yourself to pay $10,000 more for a GT K5 when I can get it for you for 10% under sticker price, right? So let's see what happens when we get this car for under right now under 10%. So let's say that I can get you a 10% discount, which is usually about what I can do on average, 10, sometimes 8 to 15% off a vehicle. Remember that the car is a $39,000 car. So let's say I can get it to you for $36,000. Watch what happens to the payment. all the way down to $642 on a 72-month loan. Now, look at our interest. And on that, we have a lower payment, we have lower total interest right here. So now instead of paying $11,000 now you're paying 8,500 in total interest if you make minimum payments on the vehicle. Let's take a look at our payment schedule here on this. You can see after 36 months, we owe 20,800 on the car. Now that's a lot closer to where you want to be able to trade this car in after owning it for 3 years. That's about where you want to be on that car, right? You know, you want to be where you can trade it in and not be tipped on it. And that's how you do it. Now, you're able to do that on a 72-month loan instead of a 60-month loan. So, I mean, because you are spending less on the car, your payment's going to be lower. Your term, can be a little bit longer, and you can still be able to trade out of your car in 36 months and not be tipped on it. So, if you're like most consumers, that buy new vehicles, you're not in them for very long. You're in them for 24 to 48 months, and you want to get out of it and get into something else. So, this is how you do it right here. And so, market adjustments in 2025 on a Kia K5 GT, not the best idea for you. So you can see here that's not going to be the best option for you as far as paying extra for on top of MSRP. It doesn't make a lot of sense in today's market. There is no way that a client can go to a new car lot and have them say that there's shortages, there's tariffs. They'll say anything basically to get you to believe that they could charge you more than sticker price on a car. The fact of the matter is that if you call enough dealerships, you'll find one that will sell you one at under MSRP on one where there's 19,000 of them available throughout the country right now. So just a little food for thought on that one. Let's try another one here. Okay, so here's another one that I have on this Honda. This one's going to be a little easier to see, so that's good. That's crazy. I mean, it's a freaking Kia. Who the hell is paying freaking 10 grand more for a Kia sedan? It's just stupid. Doesn't make a lot of sense, does it? I mean, but I don't know. I mean, like, I guess I would pay over sticker if it was something like something rare that the dealership maybe only gets one of in a year. Like a GT 500 Mustang or something like that. Something that is super rare, but one where there's 19,000 of them throughout the U.S. I mean, don't shoot yourself in the foot. You know what I mean? Like, this is why you got all these dum dums on TikTok that are calling, the vehicle brokers, and the vehicle brokers are like, yeah, you're tipped about 10, 12 grand on your trade. There's nothing I can do to really help you. Sorry, you're stuck with your car. Nothing I can do. I mean, that's why is because they did this and they spent more than what the car is worth when they bought the car, and now they're paying the price for it. So let's take a look at this other example here. Let's take a look at another example. Okay, so here we go. We are going example of a vehicle here. This is a 2025 HRV Honda. So it's a little SUV right here. A little mini SUV uh, with everything that they're asking for on this one. They're asking 27 The manufacturer suggested price is 27,205 on this one. But wait a second, when we look at this here, we have another roughly what, $4,000 in charges, 3,700 bucks in additional charges. You know, I mean, it's not as significant of an up of a increase as the Kia, and at least with this one, it will hold its value a little bit better. It's a Honda, so I mean, well, that's one of the advantages of this one. But again, completely unnecessary to pay at more than sticker price on a car like this, and I'll show you why. So, okay, so we're going to put 27.2 in the column here, and we're going to pay for that. That's going to be the price that we're going to. 'Cause that's the manufacturer suggested price, which we should really be paying less than that. We should really be about 10%, maybe on the lower cost cars, lower trim level cars. You're looking at maybe 8% on a lot of those. There's just not as much markup on those as some of the other ones. And generally, the higher the trim package, the more the markup is. So let's go ahead and see where we're at here. So in 72 months, we would be on this one. We would be pull my car payment calculator. So on 72 months, you can see right here we are at 487 a month over 72 months. If we were to view the payment schedule on this one, you know, after 36 months, you're going to owe 15,800 on this car. So, you know, you're going to be well under what you're going to need to do to be able to trade this car in 3 years. Now, what happens when I add the additional to it? What happens when I add that additional $3,700 to this car? Yeah, I mean, what are we talking? 30, so 31. Watch what happens when we change this here to the market adjusted, market adjusted prices on it, guys. I mean, it doesn't make a lot of sense. Again, this is so silly that people are doing this nowadays. You know, I mean, it doesn't make any sense. Let's calculate that payment. Look at what happens with the payment. Payment just went up to $570 per month over 72 months. So we went from high fours to high fives, just like that. Watch what happens when we go into our payment schedule here. You can see after 36 months, we are at about an 18.5 balance right here after 36 months. So we're a lot higher balance left over. I mean, again, this isn't going to be as drastic because the cheaper the car, the less these market adjustments are going to affect that. But you can still see it is a considerably more. I mean, yeah, it could be a situation where, depending on the mileage, you could be tipped on your trade on this one, right? All because of this silly market adjustment. You should be able to sign and drive on a car and be able to pay it off and make the payments correctly on it over a 60-month term or 72-month term on a Honda or a Toyota and not have any negative equity. So you can basically see that where we're coming up with a lot of this, a lot of these, um, a lot of these, a lot of these quibbles that we have with the dealerships that are local, and there's really no reason to do it. I mean, check in with my other streams where I'm calling dealerships, trying to get the best possible price for the clients. You know, do that yourself, and you should be able to get enough people to. If you get enough people on the phone, you should be able to get the lowest price. So my advice is to make sure that you are doing everything in your due diligence to get the best deal that you can. So let's pull this up real quick here. Okay, so we were in the K5 here before, and now we are going to look at the Honda HRV. So this one here, you can see, look at this. We have 34,000 of these available in in the United States right now. So I mean, when the dealership tells you, hey, like we're running out of these, we don't have enough of these in stock. Look, there's currently 21,000 of these in the United States that are brand new, or 23 that are brand new, 23,000 that are brand new. Out of the 2025s, there's 21,000 of these right now, um, currently in the United States for sale. Now, let's just say, for example, that we're going to look at what you can trade this in for. Let's say that we want to trade out of it in uh, 3 years. So we're looking at what 2022s are going for right now. And to make sure we're comparing apples to apples, we're going to look at the LX package on this one. Let's pop that up and see what they're going for. Okay, with currently 575 to sell. They're currently going for. Ooh, let's go ahead and make sure we got the front wheel drive in there too, because that's going to make a difference in the overall cost. So let's get that in there. Front wheel drive. Okay, so currently there are 236 of these available here for sale. Now, with one that's a 2022, right here for um, with 13,200 miles on it, they're asking $24,000 for this vehicle. Um, and you can see that you would be in a decent position as if you only put 13,000 miles on the car, but most people are going to put more on it. So let's see what they're selling for with miles on them. Let's see. Here's one with 35,000 miles on it, $22,000. Let's see if we can find one with the actual. Here's one with 42,000 on it, 19.6 right there. So you can see, you have one where you're tipped a little bit on your trade. You're going to be tipped on your trade because whoever traded that car in, only got about 16, 15, 5, $16,000 for their vehicle in this case, right? I mean, they didn't get 19.6 or 19.65 for this car. They didn't. That just did not happen. So that being said, I mean, if they had done this vehicle and hadn't paid this thing down, they might have been tipped a couple of grand on this vehicle. And not surprisingly, whenever they're attacking on an additional 10% on top of the MSRP, it's easy to get behind on this and be tipped on your trades. It doesn't have to be an outrageous one like you're hearing on TikTok, but there's nothing worse than making payments on something where you could have avoided having negative equity. You could have avoided paying an extra $2,000 or $3,000 in interest by just simply shopping and finding it out. And that's the most important thing. The key is to make sure you know what kind of vehicle you want to buy first and foremost. So you know what you want to buy, drive the cars that you want to drive, test drive them all. Certainly don't sit down with a dealership when you test drive the car, because as soon as you're in the dealership and sitting down and talking numbers, you're at a disadvantage because now they have you. Now they're going to put their salespeople in front of you. Your best bet is to do everything over the phone after you test drive the car that you want. That way, the dealership understands that they got to give you a better price. Otherwise, you'll just simply call another dealership. So that's where you get an advantage. They'll say things like your power is in your presence. That's complete nonsense. I mean, your power is over the phone, because if you call even 5 or 6 dealerships, you'll find somebody that will sell you this Honda HRV for MSRP. Let's take a look here and see what we could do on a new one of these right here. So on a new one of these, 20, 26, 27,000, 27, 27 2 on one of these. Very reasonable for MSRP for a car like this under 30 grand. But you can see here that um, the one that instead of paying 27.25, if you can get 8% off that, which is what 2,500 bucks off. You pay 20, like $25,000 for the car instead of what they are asking for here, which is 31,000 for a car like this. Let me ask you this question: is it better to pay $25,000 or better to pay $31,000? Just making a point there for you here. It's really easy. That's not obviously an easy question to answer right there. So you can see here market adjustments in 2025. It's really kind of an annoying thing. I can't believe they're still doing this to this day. I'm just dumbfounded by this by the reality here. Um, I just do yourself a favor, save yourself some money. The key is to this, guys, is go to the dealership when they're not open, right? That's the first step. So if you know kind of what type of vehicle you're looking for, an SUV, sedan, whatever, you're looking at three or four different kinds. Go to the dealership and look at the vehicles, look at the size of the cars, test drive the cars that you want to test drive. And this is how you avoid having to go in and sit down with salesmen. And that is, I'm test driving different cars today. You say, I'm test driving HRV today, and then I'm going to go and test drive a Toyota Rav4, and I'm going to test drive a Chevy Trax and a Buick Encore. I'm going to test drive all those before I make my decision. So I'll just briefly want to make sure I'm finding the right car. If I find the right car, I'll give you a call and give you a chance for the deal. But I want to make sure I find the right vehicle for me. And then make sure that you're doing your due diligence to drive the vehicle the way that you're going to drive it. Whatever you're going to use the vehicle for, say you like to golf or make sure the golf clubs fit in it like you want it to. So bring those with you. Do everything. Drive the car the way that you want to drive it too. By the way, you don't want to be, driving a car and like a wimp on a test drive. You want to drive it the way you're going to drive it to make sure you like the car. Make sure you don't have buyer's remorse because these cars, we're not talking about $10,000 or $12,000 cars here. We're talking on a small Honda HRV. You're looking at $27,000, $28,000, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 for these vehicles nowadays. You want to make sure you're making the right choice. You want to make sure you're buying the car in the right way. So that that being said, you want to make sure we're making the right decision. All right, let's so these are the things that I would definitely recommend. I definitely recommend making sure that you're using a setup like car payment calculator to be able to just quickly figure out what the payment should look like with the interest rates that you should qualify for. Um, you shouldn't pay more than sticker price for virtually any car right now uh, in in the market. There's just not many of them. There are a few that are really hard to get your hands on that are going for more than sticker. Like there's like the Lexus, the new Lexus SUV, the GX 550 is one of those where That's going to be a tricky one. There's some other ones that are difficult. The new Toyota 4Runner can be hard to get for less than sticker. But the truth is that there isn't really a lot out there where you should be paying more than MSRP for these for any car, right? I mean, and make sure you're doing your due diligence. So generally speaking, like there's 10, just think 10% off of MSRP is what your goal should be when you are calling around to figure out what your best deal is. Test drive the car, make sure you love it. Then if the dealership doesn't give you the deal you want, then just simply call around and get the deal you're looking for. The best advantage is not to be in the store to work your car deal. The best advantage is to do your car deal over the phone, behind the computer. That's going to always be your best bet. And if you're buying a pre-owned vehicle, depending on depending on what you're buying, it's something to consider service contracts. If you're buying a new vehicle, yeah, I mean, service contracts, gap insurance, just depends on, how much money you're putting down on a vehicle, how much you're paying for the vehicle. All those sort of things are going to play a part in whether or not you should buy a gap insurance. If you put 20% down on a vehicle and are paying it off in 48 months, you don't need gap insurance. And if you're going to drive the car for 100,000 miles over the course of 7 years or whatever, and just drive it, that one, you may want to consider an extended service contract. But most of the time, you can get away with a 3 or 36,000 mile service agreement um, that comes with the warranty that comes with the car, and the 5 year, 60,000 mile powertrain warranty. I mean, they just there's no point on usually to buy spending an extra 2,500 or 3 grand on a extended warranty most of the time. So don't get schooled in the finance office either. It should just be trying to have some good advice here for you folks. And I mean, again, market adjustments in 2025. Don't do it. You see what happens. You wind up tip on your trade. You wind up not being able to trade your car in, and be able to get full value for the car. So Um, that being said, I just um, check in with us here. I'll be putting up another stream here talking. Probably next stream we'll be talking a little bit about warranties, extended warranties, and gap insurance. Anything that you want me to cover? Any questions? Just leave me a comment in on here, and I'll get on and try to answer those questions for you in a detailed fashion. So that way, you're making an informed decision when buying a vehicle. Remember that if you don't want to do it yourself, or want somebody to get you a good deal and on a vehicle, and not be able to be um, put through a bunch of headaches and a bunch of problems from the dealerships, let me know, and I'll be more than happy to assist you on your purchase. So anyway, thank you very much for tuning in, and we will be signing off here. And thank you again for tuning in. Let's check us out later. Thanks.